Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 10 a.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we've got news out of Onslow County where a New Jersey man is now facing child sex crime charges. 34-year-old William Alston was arrested by Onslow County deputies yesterday, and according to warrants, Alston had indecent liberties in August with 2 children under 16 years old, one of whom was 3 years old. Alston has been charged with 4 counts of indecent liberties with a child and 1 count of statutory sex offense with a child by an adult. He was taken to the Onslow County Jail and is being held without bond. He is expected to appear in court later today. And now we want to turn to the war in Ukraine, where again Russian strikes continue as a work towards a peace plan is being done in Washington as well as Moscow and across Europe. NBC's Richard Engel has more from Ukraine.
Russia carried out numerous attacks against Ukraine overnight, and this is the site of one of them. We are in the city of Odessa in southern Ukraine, and here, using drones, Russia attacked a power station overnight. This is the power station, and many apartment complexes in Ukraine, sort of using an old Soviet model, are built like this. There is a large compound here with hundreds, maybe a few thousand people living here, and in the center, heating and providing power to all of these residents is the central electrical station. That has now been knocked offline. Witnesses say there were at least 10 Shahid-style drones, and these are the big wing-shaped drones that Russia often uses, kamikaze one-way drones, and they also caused damage to this apartment building across the street, knocking out windows, causing injuries, and these are some of the aid workers who quickly sprung into action to try and provide some services. This is the World Central Kitchen. There's a German ambulance over there. And this attack came just hours after negotiations effectively collapsed in Russia. There was a marathon session with the top delegation from President Trump's foreign policy team, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, his personal envoy. But President Putin said, according to the Kremlin, that the terms weren't good enough. And it seems that he is trying to win this war on the battlefield and not through negotiations. But it doesn't mean that the peace process is over. Now that Putin has rejected the current U.S. proposal, it is back to the Ukrainians and back to the Americans to try and come up with some other formulation. And according to a senior U.S. official, the U.S. side has invited the Ukrainian delegation for more peace talks in Florida today. Richard Engel, NBC News, Odessa, Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Richard, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast. It's a sunny day today, at least currently. We're not going to see the sunshine stick around all day long, though. There will be some cloud cover slowly filtering in from the southwest as we head through today. Of course, those clouds will eventually bring about some more raindrops to eastern North Carolina. Right now, we've got our eyes on a large mass of rain that's extending over southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and into Georgia. Now, that low pressure system that's powering a lot of that moisture is actually sitting further back towards the west in Oklahoma, but that's going to gather up all that moisture today and then push it a little bit further northward towards us as we head into tomorrow. Something, again, to keep an eye on. Right now, across eastern North Carolina, nice and relatively dry. Again, some thin clouds over parts of the east, but for the most part, again, relatively dry conditions planned for most of the day today. Later on this evening, we may see again a few light rain showers show up. This is a picture by the time we get to around 5 o'clock. So nothing again that's really going to be affecting you through the daylight hours. Yeah, sun's still up at 5, but again, it will be setting, and then the heavier rain, well, it's not really going to be very heavy, not quite as heavy as what we had on Monday, but we will have rain throughout the day coming up for tomorrow. Should be a light drizzly type day, cloud cover spread all across the east. Kind of take yourself back to what we had, I believe it was on Tuesday earlier this week. where, again, it was just wet from start to finish. We're going to be experiencing that again coming up for tomorrow. There will be a chance that some of our northern counties could see maybe some snowflakes mix in early on in the morning. Will any of that snow stick? No, absolutely not. And most of us are actually going to be missing out on the snow. Whenever we talk about that opportunity for perhaps a few flakes, we're really looking at some of our counties that border Virginia, or at least get close to it. So Hertford, Gates, Northampton, possibly Halifax counties. Those are the areas, again, that could potentially see some snowflakes mix in with the rain showers. Now, of course, when it's mixed in, you're not going to get anything to stick. So if you're wondering if you're going to have to worry about any sort of impacts, zero. Other than wet roads. That's pretty much the impact that we are going to be talking about. Then on Saturday and Sunday, we will still see some rain showers, particularly down closer to the Crystal Coast. The closer you get to Virginia, coming up over the weekend, the drier you will be. 44 degrees right now in Washington, though, comes with a calm breeze. And again, does look like some very thin stratus clouds stretched over the Washington skyline there. As far as your air temperatures are concerned, most of us in the low to mid 40s. We do have some of us that are a little bit warmer than that. Oriental, Hatteras, Stumpy Point, looking at you guys all coming in the low 50s, whereas Roanoke Rapids still hanging on to 36 degrees. Now, later on today, we're going to be working our way back into the low to mid 50s. Normal for this time of year is right around the upper 50s, so we will end up shy of our seasonal norm. From there, it's going to be a weekend where we stay below average, but then next week we will start to see our air temperatures climb again. The reason we're not really seeing a whole lot of heat today, despite the incoming rain and cloud cover out of the southwest, is winds right now still blowing in out of the west and northwest. That's going to keep our air temperatures cooler than average. But again, we will keep an eye on those temps. I think as we head later into the afternoon, we'll start to see more of a southwesterly breeze, and there is the rain arriving. That area of low pressure will not be stalling over the east, but it will slow down, and that keeps rain in the forecast all the way through your Saturday, particularly for those of you watching a little bit further south, certainly south of 264. You guys, again, are going to be looking at rain showers for both Saturday as well as Sunday, as that other area of low pressure you're seeing back towards Houston works its way closer and closer to Cape Fear. That's kind of where it is heading. Going to be rolling over the Myrtle Beach, Cape Fear area over really kind of Saturday night into Sunday morning, and that keeps us wet. But we will have a better opportunity for warmer weather coming up next week. 43 degrees coming up for tomorrow, 54 today, but 47 on Saturday, 52 on Sunday, and then we drop back down again as that whole system pulls away from the coast and brings back some of that colder air. 42 degrees for your high on Monday. Will be capped off with a 25-degree overnight low Monday night into Tuesday morning. So Tuesday, going to be a cold start. We'll see another cold start on Wednesday, but gradually warming up through next week. 42 degrees on Monday, turns to 48 on Tuesday, 52 Wednesday, and hello to the low 60s on Thursday. Finally a day where we can look at it and say, all right, we've got a pretty good chance of returning to above average weather, something, at least in terms of air temperatures, something we haven't been able to say over the last 2 weeks. Well, that's all we have time for today's 10 a.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at 11 o'clock. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic Thursday.